Hey guys, it's Bethany Drew here on this Wednesday. I hope my connection's okay. I feel like just recently, in the last few weeks, my connection has been a little off, and I don't know if that's because just everybody is using so much more technology. Facebook Live is probably being used way more than it used to, but because usually I have pretty good connection. Hey Chris, how you doing? I'm sorry I'm a couple minutes late here. Was trying to get my 4-year-old on some Sesame Street PBS games on the computer. So, even though it's a pretty day, he was outside, and the boys have been out on the trampoline and done some other stuff, but, and Gabe, one of my middle sons, was literally woke up at 6 in the morning, was done with his school by like 7:30, 7:45 in the morning, before any of my other boys even were awake. And yes, I know it's much better when it's sunny out, right? And then Gabe, my same son, is so good. He goes and he does stuff to earn his screen time. So he's already sorted through his laundry, and he unloaded the dishwasher for me. I love all my boys, but anywho, I'm going to show you today the Parisian Blossom Suite. So that includes 2 bundles. There's a Blossoms, like a flower bundle, and then there's also the Parisian Beauty that has the Eiffel Tower and stuff in it. One of them is going to stay in the new catalog, but one of them is retiring, sadly. And the more that I just played with it in the last few days, trying to prepare for my video, the more I'm thinking, I don't think I'm going to let go of this one. I love the Eiffel Tower, and there's some pretty background things you can do with it too. So there's so much fun stuff you can do with it. Hey, Stephanie. And yes, I'm a little late too, because I had Gabe run to the mailbox to check once again to see if my new catalog was here, and it's still not here. I'm waiting for the new catalog to come. Us demonstrators should be getting them very soon. We've been able to see it online on a PDF, but I love having the real thing in my hands. And then as demonstrators, we were able to pre-order a few things, a handful of things from the new catalog. So I saw one person who expedited their new order and already has it at their house. Unfortunately, I usually don't pay the extra $20 or whatever it is, to maybe it's even $30. So I have to wait a few more days before my new stuff comes. But I'm so excited about the new catalog. There's so many beautiful things coming, but I don't want to overwhelm you with new stuff coming already when we're looking at things that are going away. So, and there's some really pretty things that are going. So I kind of want to talk to you about just the suite that I'm going to focus on today, because it's a really pretty suite, and kind of talk about how Stampin' Up! Has just gotten so much better about the coordination of everything. So let me turn it around. And there it is. And show you. In our catalogs, they used to just do the bundle, but this is the Parisian Blossom Suite. So at first it gives you a whole spread on like what are some of the things you can create, and then on the other page it shows you all the things that you can get in the whole suite, and they all coordinate so well together. And I'm going to show you how even combining, because this is a big suite. And not all of the suites have 2 different bundles, like 2 different stamp sets, but some of them do. But for $133.50, that is getting the whole suite, so everything that coordinates. And the designer paper is going and going to retire. The Parisian Beauty Suite, so the one with the Eiffel Tower and the dies there, that is retiring. So get that while it lasts. This pretty ribbon is retiring as well. And the beautiful thing about them offering the suites, you can just get a bundle if you didn't want one stamp set. You can get them separately too. But if you love the coordination of everything, you're like, oh wow, this would make some beautiful cards, which it does, then you can just put in the one number, 153934, and for the $133.50, you are getting the bundle prices. So you're getting the 10% off this bundle, the 10% off this bundle, and then you're also getting the designer paper, the ribbon, the rhinestones, and the embossing folder, which is a beautiful embossing folder. So I'll be showing you some cards with that. So even though some of these things are going to continue on in the catalog, I wanted to share with you because sometimes the retiring list can be kind of confusing, because even the Forever Blossoms bundle is listed as retiring, but it's got 2 stars afterwards. Now what that means is just this bundle is retiring. So when the new catalog comes out, both the stamp set and the dies will be available, but they will not be in a bundled price. So you won't get the 10% off. So these things will still be current in the new catalog. So you could wait, but you don't get the 10% off. So that's where some of them have stars after them, and you just have to be careful. I've also had a lot of questions about, are the blends markers retiring? And no, they're not. They're just, if there's a single either light or dark marker that you would like to get, order them right now before the new catalog comes out, because when the new catalog comes out, they will only be orderable by the duo pack, so the light and dark together. They just looked at how, you know, how people bought, and most people were buying the pair together. So that's how they're going to sell them from now on. So because they're only going to be selling them as pairs, they're just reconfiguring the numbers for all of the colors. So don't worry, the blends markers, I love the blends markers, they're not retiring. They're just going to be changing the numbers. So this whole bundle then will also be retiring because some of the things are going. So I'm going to show you why you get more bang for your buck when you go, like, I know $133 seems like a lot, but when you look at all that you get, the stamp set and the dies and the folder, those are things that last forever. They really do. I have some stamps that I've had for the 15 years. A few that I have kept around. And they do. These are both cling mount too, so there are good red rubber, so they will last a long time. Years and years and years. These last forever. These plastic folders really will. If you take good care of them, they'll last forever. The rhinestones, you get 140 of them, so if you, and I typically tend to put 3 on a card, 3 rhinestones, so make a little triangle. So that means they'll last for about 46 cards. Okay? And then the ribbon is 10 yards of it. That's a lot. I just showed you guys a few weeks ago, I did a double wonder class showing you 2 halves of 2 different prints of designer paper, so kind of like a whole 12 by 12, and how you could make 11 cards with that. So you multiply that by 12 and you could make 121 cards out of 1 pack of designer paper. So really this will go a really long way for you. So in the long run, I suppose you could say we're probably breaking even. Because I haven't bought a card in 15 years. I really haven't. And I send tons of cards. So I know I've spent money on my hobby, but I love that it's an outlet for me to create, and it also is a blessing to others. So this is what we're looking at, is this Parisian Blossoms suite. So if you want the whole suite, and I think you'll love everything and how it all coordinates when I show it to you, you can get it with just 1 number. Or you can get the Parisian Blossom designer paper if you just want the designer paper after I show it to you because it's so beautiful. It solely, if you just buy it by itself, is on sale for $11.60 for the 12 sheets. Now, little side note, because I wanted to share, I've just recently, and I literally just opened this card from a friend just today, when I had sent my son out to check the mail. So I just got this in the mail from Shannon. I love, I don't know, this time has made, I feel like I've received more cards in the last couple months from people. And it makes me so happy to get, doesn't it make you guys so happy to get a card? And I don't even care if they're homemade, but it is fun. Now, my friend Teresa made this little flap that held, she was paying for some dies, and she put a little $20 bill right in that little pocket. Isn't that so clever and cute? And I had, let's see, I think that's from, yeah. One of my Impact girls wrote to me and sent me a card. I don't even care if they're not handmade. My cousin Karna sent me a cute little note card. And one of my far uplines, Michelle Helene, is so good at sending cards that I love opening. And I got a friend, and Chris, you sent me a card too. I think I've got it somewhere like on a shelf or something. I was trying to quickly go around before this started to show. But Chris, you just sent me a card too, and that just makes my day when I receive mail. So I know how good it feels when you get mail in your mailbox. It's so fun. So let's first look at what is not going is, and I'll move this for a little bit, is the, what is this one called? Blossoms. So like I said, this stamp set Forever Blossoms is, and I'll be honest, this was not one I was going to get at first, but actually at one of our onstage local events, we got to go around and pick all the stuff we played with, and so everyone got to pick certain things for free. So I ended up taking this home for free. So then of course I had to get the dies that matched with it, right? They're smart that way. And this is actually the card we made at our onstage local. So we were able to see how pretty the ribbon is. We got to see a little sampler of the paper, which is so pretty. So this is stamping that big flower right on the designer paper. And then I used blends to color over the flowers a little bit. And then we got to use those sparkly champagne rhinestones. Here's another one. And I like showing you some show and tell because it's fun to see how different you can make a card look with the same exact stamp set. I love it. This color, if you're like, wow, that's so beautiful. I didn't even realize how much I love this Seaside Spray. It's just such a romantic, like purpley blue. I love it. And then I used some of the designer paper that has the silver foil script behind it. And then I cut the rectangle in vellum. And then I used this, if you can tell, this is thicker, our watercolor paper. So I did a little watercolor wash first, and then I stamped in my early espresso ink. And you can see where it wasn't wet, the ink is much lighter. So I stamped it while it wasn't completely dry. So when I stamped over my watercolor wash, that brown became a lot deeper. And you mean so much to me. I love that sentiment. You could send that for any occasion. And isn't this ribbon so pretty? I love the little metallic edge to it. So pretty. So that ribbon is going to be gone. Here's another one made with that same suite. I'll show you one at a time here. And again, so different. You know, using it as a background and just stamping all over. And I just stamped it in black on white. And then I did trace around the flowers with my, it was actually ivory, but you could use a light crumb cake. And then I did put it on crumb cake cardstock. Oh, I did want to show you a couple of these cards. I actually did the inside. You know, if you remember to actually open your up, I stamped, because I was stamping the background in the same Seaside Spray, I stamped on the inside too. And I actually used, because you can see I tore the edges of the designer paper, I used both those, the top and the bottom of it, to put on the inside of the card. How fun. Sometimes I have those aha moments to use it all, which is awesome. And this one I embossed white on black paper, and then I did like fussy cut around the sentiment then. And I love just how simply those champagne rhinestones add a little pop of sparkle and brightness. So fun. Then this, I did want to do one with the dies. The dies that match this set are really beautiful. Now sometimes they can be a little overwhelming to me when they have so many pieces, but I did want to kind of brag a little bit. Now I don't have these dies on magnetic sheets yet. I have to go back to Michael's and get more magnetic sheets for my dies, because I don't really like them being on the sticky tape. That's how they come. I like putting a magnetic sheet down and then covering it with designer paper. I'll show you with, the dies aren't on here, but the new stamp sets, the dies can fit right in here. And this is what I'll do is I put, hey Deb, I put down like a magnetic sheet. You could even buy just magnetic strips and put a few. And then I cover it with designer paper, and then I can just keep my dies in there. And you can store it right in the stamp case if you want to keep them all together. Or, I think I've shown you guys before, but over by my Big Shot, I have these magnetic strips. They're like kitchen knife holders, magnetic strips, but I just have gotten a bunch of them. And I have some of my favorite and most widely used dies on those magnetic strips. But it's really nice that most of them fit in the case now. Now this is a bigger, wider one, so this does not fit in the case. But it has this cool little branch part. And what I love about some of the dies, the new dies that are coming out, is they give us multiple. So I could cut out a bunch of the white flowers at one time. And they gave us, I love the leaves cut out and then deboss. So kind of put the little grooves in the leaves. And there's the centers to the flowers. So they give you 2 at a time. So it's nice when you've got multiples that you can cut out, you know, quite a few at the same time. So that is the cherry blossom dies that match with the stamp set. And again, after you've cut out those pieces, I was able to cut out almost all of these right at the same time on one piece of white paper. I just put all of those flowers down and cranked them through. And then again on my green cardstock, I was able to cut quite a few leaves at the same time too. So that's kind of nice and convenient to do that. So then you're just piecing those together, and I put the little centers on with the glue dot, and then I put the rhinestones in the middle of these flowers. But isn't that a pretty card with those cherry blossoms? Very pretty. And just as a review, because a couple weeks ago I had done the Double Wonder class, and I actually did it with this Parisian Beauty or Blossoms designer paper. Because man, there's so many ways, even if you didn't have any of the stamp sets, just the designer paper alone, and that's why I gave you the designer paper number 2, because it's on sale right now. It's gorgeous paper. It has silver foil on it. It's just so beautiful. So I mean, here I added the die, and on some of them I did add, like I stamped the Eiffel Tower in the background, which just adds a little bit more, but you wouldn't have to have that in the background. The designer paper kind of acts on its own. And it's just really gorgeous. Isn't it pretty? Which one do you guys like the best out of these? You like all the dies? Do you like the black and white, basic neutral colors? Do you like the pretty romantic blue and pink? Or this is the one I made on stage. But the designer paper is just gorgeous. I love it. So that's the cherry blossoms, and I wanted to show you a real quick card that you could make with it. So thanks, Chris. Thanks for the love. Yeah, the sea spray one. That probably would be my winner too. It's such a gorgeous color combo. Love it. So this is a pretty simple card, and I wanted to show you how to kind of line up your card. You like the cherry blossoms one? See, that's everybody loves something. They're all pretty. It's kind of hard to choose a favorite, in fact. Now I'm going to show you if you have a Stamparatus. I know one of my friends, Carol, just recently got the Stamparatus, so I've been trying to kind of break that out and show you why it's such an awesome tool, again, for perfect placement. So what I've done with this, with my Stamparatus, is I've already got the magnet down, and I've got my centerpiece, which is the shimmer white cardstock, so it has a little bit of sparkle to it. So I've just got my shimmer paper. I don't have the matte down yet because I want to keep this as thin of layers as possible because I'm going to be stamping over both of them. And I'm going to ink up. So I put down my stamp first, kind of right up in the corner where I wanted it. Then I stuck my plate down, And I've got my base of my card all the way to the corner here. So if I tilt it a little more, you'll see it's lined up all the way in the corner. So I'm going to get that nice and straight. So just in case when I stamp it, it goes crooked, I will be able to keep it or line it back up straight. So I'm going to use, this is such a pretty gray. It's called gray granite. It's a little bit of a brown gray, but I love it. And I'm going to ink up, so I'll move this over just to show you. I'm going to ink up my blossoms with this gray granite. I want to make sure the whole thing's covered. Okay, and I'm just lightly tapping. Okay, now I'm going to press pretty hard because I'm pressing on 2 layers, my center layer and my card base. Okay, so I'm going to press, I want to get the whole stamp set. What is this on? I feel like it's on something. Make sure that I've pressed over the whole thing. And I'll show you the magic of, in case it doesn't get around the corner. Now I'm going to lift up my centerpiece because that's good and stamped. Okay, but now I'm going to line up my card base again because it didn't get the full flower there. But because I know exactly where I lined it up, I'm going to line it up straight again in the corner. Make sure that's straight. And I'm not going to re-ink it. I'm just going to re-stamp right in that corner. We're going to cover up this, so that doesn't really matter. Okay, so that just stamped and then got the rest of the flower inked. Okay, and the only reason that I can do that and get it perfectly lined is because of my Stamparatus, so that's so fun. So now when I line it up and I mat it, it'll just be a little bit better, closer to lined up, and it will be all just perfect. Okay, so that's something you can do with your Stamparatus, which is kind of fun. And then kind of another fun little side note is my mat, when I'm going to put this on, I was able to cut some pieces out for one of my other cards. And I'm going to line this up so it's a really thin trim of the gray. I think this is actually, no, maybe it is gray granite. But it might be smoky slate. Sorry, sometimes I have a hard time telling between, unless I look at them both. Now what I did for this one is after I stamped it down in the gray granite, I actually colored it in with my blends. So I have petal pink, that light pink, and I used my light soft seafoam, and I actually did color in with my light Pool Party. It's one of my favorite blues. Kind of all over the background, and then just putting Sending Prayers. If you don't want to go to that effort, and I'm going to just put some adhesive on the back here around the edges. Like, I'll show you, it'll probably look just as pretty if you don't color in the whole background blue, but it does add a pretty texture when you watercolor, or when you could watercolor it too. But you don't necessarily have to. Okay, so again with blends, I usually try to use my light first, and you don't have to be exact. This is a really pale green too, so If it's small enough, I can do a few leaves. And then I go back in with my dark, and I'll usually go over the dark in areas that it looks more shaded, and maybe the veins of the leaf. And I'll go a little bit over the branch part, or the stem part. Now we do have a thin end to it too, so. And then when you actually go back in with the lighter, you blend it together, and that's why they're called blends, because then you're actually really getting that blend together. And there's a little bit of leafy parts on the tips there too. Now when I color in the flowers, I left a little bit of white space. So again, I tend to start in the middle and then go out with any flowers, whether I'm watercoloring or the blends. I tend to start in the middle and go out, because sometimes, most of the time, you want it to be a little bit deeper in the center of the flowers. Color those in, these little buds. And to be honest, if I was taking my time, I'd probably do one flower at a time, just because it does blend a little bit better when you do the light and the dark like closer together. You get a better blend. Do a little bit of in those shaded spots. Then come back in with the light and again blend that together. Isn't that so pretty? It's a fun different way to color. I love the blends markers. They really are nice. And then I added just a little bit of ribbon. And I used our white crinkle from a different suite, but I'll show you with this one. It's just as pretty, since I used petal pink blends, I'll use the ribbon that matches the suite. And I'm telling you, this ribbon is so pretty. I love the little metallic edge, don't you guys? Isn't it pretty to have a little bit of sparkle? How elegant is that? If you have trouble tying a bow, you could just tie a knot. Typically, so I'm holding the center with my middle finger here, so it stays nice and tight. And typically that also helps me not be so freaked about tying a nice tight bow. So if I want to do a bow, I could still tie a little bow with this. I think bow is pretty, and it will be a really little bow. That's okay. Just trim that off so it's about the same length. And again, this is that the metallic petal pink metallic ribbon. So pretty. So what do you think? It probably is worth the effort to color the whole background in. Isn't that pretty with the blue background? I do like that. But again, if nobody saw that to compare it to, they would like this one just as well. Right? Yeah, what do you guys think? Worth it to color in the blue background? I think it is. But that does use a lot more on your blend marker. So you could even try just watercoloring in the background. Use your blends to color. Now, because I used the Stamparatus, I can line this up right where I want it, so it lines up with the flower too. And it's still straight on my card. And how fun is that to have it lined up right with the base of your card, because I used my Stamparatus. And I had stamped Sending Prayers on the Petal Pink cardstock. I use Sending Prayers. This is from the Itty Bitty Greetings. I really do love this Itty Bitty Greetings because they're small sentiment that they almost all fit in this little small label punch. I love all these sentiments. They're so nice. There's even a happy graduation, and this actually has 2 cases. I sent Sending Prayers, but I thought right now I'm here for you is a great sentiment too. Who doesn't want to hear I'm here for you? So I'll use that same gray granite. Yes, I love the blue too, Chris. You're right. Now, typically when I'm going to punch something out, it's nice to stamp it first. You want to ink it down, and then you punch it out. So then you can line up what you have just stamped upside down. If I can get this to go through. Hang on. Let me rip that off. It's getting stuck on that. There we go. Now that'll go through much better. All right. Because then you can see exactly where you want to punch, line it up straight, and then punch it right out. I don't want to cover up. I think this time I'll put it below. What, honey? That's fine. If he's just using the wood in the wheelbarrow, that's fine. Oh, I tell you guys, it's a different world having the boys home with me all day. Most of the time, I'm okay with it. But there are times where I feel a little insane. So isn't that pretty too? And again, I think because I didn't color in the blue, it is nice to have the extra pop of the pink ribbon down there, isn't it? So, oh, and I forgot to show you. I also, if you notice, this has a little bit of texture to it as well. After I had colored it all in, I ran it through my my subtle embossing folder. And I tell you, the embossing folders, they can't be beat. Now, for those of you who are a little bit newer, I did want to also show you our old style, our really thick embossing folders. They say Sizzix on it. And these, you use only one cutting pad. So you use a regular, like a cutting pad that you get with your Big Shot. So this is a used one that when I got new cutting pads, I just use a regular cutting pad, and I put my cardstock in my folder, and then put it on top of the platform, and then use a cutting pad on top. Okay, so that's the old style, and so the reason, or the way that you can tell that is it will still say Sizzix on it, but Stampin' Up! Has made new ones, and this is the one that I'm showing you in this Parisian suite, which is gorgeous. And I put a purple dot next to all of the new styled ones. They won't say Sizzix because it'll just have the Stampin' Up! Logo on it, and I put a purple dot so that helps me know that it takes the blue. They call it a blue plate, but it looks kind of bluish purple, and it is a little bit different than the regular cutting pad, and it does make a difference. So that's, I wanted to kind of show some of you that's the difference between those. Another saver on your cutting pads, I did want to show you guys, so I almost always use my magnetic platform when I'm cutting out things with my dies. Now some people's cutting pads start warping, but that's if you always put what you're cutting right in the center. If you always are going to cut and put things in the center, your cutting pad is going to start bowing instead of staying straight. And I've cut a lot of things on here. Now, what I tend to do is I'll cut a few things on one side, then I turn it over, so I go back and forth and I use both sides. I try to put them in the corners, over to the side. I try to move them all over the place, so I'm not always cutting in the center. And then one plate I don't cut into. I always, or at least for a long time, until this one gets old and I need more cutting pads, I use one for the top that I just don't cut into yet. And that helps. It has helped me tremendously, because the more you cut into your pads, you start getting those indents into your cutting pads. And sometimes if you're using that on the top, it'll actually show up those little indentations in your cardstock that you're cutting out. So this is really nice to keep a nice clean cut if you don't use your top one. If you just use the top one only for the top and don't cut into it, it's nice for a good clean cut. Okay, so the new Big Shot, I keep calling it Big Shot, but the new die cutting embossing machine will be coming. It won't be available quite yet when the new catalog comes out, but I want to share some of these things because I'm sure it will be similar. So you don't get that bow in your cutting pad. Just make sure to be cutting and using your whole space. Okay, so don't always cut right in the center of your cutting pad or it will bow. Okay, so there's just a little tip for you. It has helped me, and I very rarely have a bend in my cutting pads, so thought I would share that with you guys. Okay, so that one was really simple. That didn't take me very much time to make at all. And that's, again, with the Forever Blossoms stamp set. And again, this stamp set and the dies will be available. This one really is pretty too, yeah. These will be available in the new catalog. They just won't be available as a bundle anymore, so you won't save the 10%. You'll have to get it all separately, which is fine. They'll still be available. But I want to show you some other things that are retiring. The Parisian Beauty stamp set and the dies. So that would be this stamp set. And I really, as I've played more with it, I really love all the little background things that you can play with. I love the little script. It's got a little poem kind of in the background talking about how much I love you. My heart could burst. All I love and all I want and all I need is you forever. Without you, dearest dear, I could not see or feel or hear or think or live. Oh, a little bit of Romeo drama there. But I did want to show you a few fun things you can do with the dies. So one die cuts out around the shape, but if you use it as just cut it out in black, you can make some pretty silhouette cards. I didn't finish this one yet, but here's a pretty silhouette. And I showed you guys, I don't know, sometime over with the Christmas card, how to blend colors. This one I used the Seaside Spray, some of the Blueberry Bushel, Night of Navy, and even a little black on top to make a dark evening sky. And then I just cut out the mountains and the trees with my mountain dies in black. And it makes such a pretty sky. Now this one I used Lovely Lipstick, which sadly is retiring, and the Rococo Rose, which is one of our in colors, still current for another year. So I used just two colors, a red and then a more pink. And I did the blending with my sponges. And again on the shimmer white. I love the shimmer white cardstock, guys. But isn't that pretty? Making a pretty sky. And after I was done blending the colors, the two colors, I just dipped my hands in some water. I ran over to the faucet and I just sprinkled on the water. And that's those little drips because it actually takes some of the color out. So very fun. Isn't that pretty? But it actually was pretty simple and fun to do. And then I just put it on Whisper White. So that's a real basic fun thing to do and play with your inks in blending. Here's another stamp set kind of showing off, thanks Chris, showing off that beautiful folder because this was a very simple card to make too. Even though it looks so ornate, that's what I love about our die cutting embossing machines. They just do amazing things, right guys? I mean, it's just beautiful. Because all I did was cut out a little bit smaller piece to frame inside the card, so that would be 4 inches by 5 1/4. I ran it through the Parisian Blossom or Parisian Beauty, whichever embossing folder that is. So the embossing folder does that gorgeousness for me. I cut out with my stitched oval out of the designer paper. The only thing I stamped was I embossed "You Mean So Much to Me," and then I stamped the Eiffel Tower in the Seaside Spray color again. I know, isn't this beautiful? I don't want to get rid of it after I've played with it more. So I really didn't do a whole lot, and then I just added some ribbon, and it's so beautiful. I know, Deb, you've made some gorgeous cards with yours too. I know you had made some gorgeous ones for your daughter. So pretty. And it really is a great set. Here's really showcasing the background is the designer paper, and this sparkly Eiffel Tower I cut out of our some of our glimmer paper, so it's got sparkle to it already, and then cut out a couple of the flowers. So this is fun when you get a whole suite. The flowers do really work well with the Eiffel Tower, so if you have the whole suite, you can kind of work that together. And then if you see, I stamped "Life is a Magnificent Adventure." I love this romantic. This is just perfect. I think this is perfect for a graduation card, because then there's also a sentiment that says, in the same one, "Follow your heart, it will take you to incredible places." I love that. You could put that on the inside of any of these if you were going to make it a graduation card. And then I love all of the little background things it can do. So I stamped the little Eiffel Tower and the little kind of postage wave stamp just over that in the background as a little extra. So isn't that pretty? And then here's the intricate Eiffel Tower again, but cut out in black, which is really pretty. And I turned it into kind of a Valentine's card because they have that pretty amour, mi amor. And then just adding a doily, a heart doily, and you can make a Valentine's card. There's that one again, just cutting it out in black, which is super simple. And then I want to show you like a different version of this card. And again, you'll see how much I love that subtle embossing folder. It just adds extra texture to it. So cool. So I just added a little strip of the designer paper, and I just stamped the Eiffel Tower, stamped a sentiment. I used the little poetic beauty script background there to add a little extra elements. And then I stamped this and the little waves again in the petal pink color. And then I added our rhinestones that had that little sparkle. And so pretty. Oh my goodness. So I love the cherry blossoms and the Eiffel Tower together. They really do coordinate well together. And again, this Parisian Beauty is going. So I would order that now if that's something that's tempted you and you were thinking about it. Well, now is the time to get it because this is going to be gone. So sad. And I love traveling, so it's something I think it's cool. Even though I haven't been to Paris, it's a beautiful set. Oh, I also wanted to mention for those of you who have, I just got this. It's like the stepped up deluxe, because when you get the Stamparatus, you get this foam mat when you're using your photopolymer sets. You need to stamp over the foam mat. And then there's paper. You can get a pad of paper that actually shows the lines. And it is nice to have the paper too, because you can draw in where exactly you want to put your stuff. But there is the deluxe foam, which they just put a grid, and it's shiny. It'll clean off well. So there's already kind of a grid that's permanently on that foam sheet. So that's the deluxe sheet. I just got it. I'm excited to use that with my photopolymer sets. But if you're not using a photopolymer set, when you're using the cling stamps, you don't need the foam mat there at all. You just use the base of, let me see if I can tuck this in here. Now, I'm going to stamp from above. So you can stamp from the side or above. In fact, your stamparatus comes with 2 of these hinges, so you could have a bunch of different stamps on hand if you were doing a multiple stamp kind of thing. Okay, so I'm going to line up my... Actually, I'm not going to do this yet. Because I want to stamp up... I'm going to use this from a different stamp set. I think it's called Scenic Silhouettes or something like that. Silhouette Scenes. This is one that will still stay current, which I'm glad, because I love these little silhouette. The girl that could be pointing to the sky or the star. So cool. So I'm going to use that stamp set, but I just remembered I don't want to do that first. So we'll bring that back. We will. I am going to stamp some background down first. Okay, so I want to take, and I'm going to use the gray granite again. And I'm going to ink up the Eiffel Tower. And can you see where I'm going? Lover's Lane. Do the lovers with the umbrella. So fun. Okay, so I've inked that up in the gray. And I'm going to stamp that down right on my card. I'm just tilting it for myself here so that I can stamp it down right. I'm going to put it over this way a little bit just to mix things up. But I'm showing you, I'm going to use a similar pattern to that one, but I'll show you that I'm just going to make it look totally different, even though I'm using kind of the same idea. Okay, so I stamped that in the gray. And I'm also going to stamp the little poem, so I'm going to ink this up in the gray, but because it's a little bit, I want it to be a little lighter, I'm going to stamp off first before I stamp. So it's a little bit more subtle, because you don't want that to be, so I'm going to stamp off again. And I'm going to stamp it one more time without re-inking it. So that's just it just gives it a fun background on. But it's a little more subtle. It's not your main thing. I'm also going to sponge some clouds. So this is where you can get crafty and fun and think outside the box. And I'm going to use some Pool Party. And you can see I've used different edges for like waves, for just an edge. This is kind of a fun, and this is my cloud one. So I'm going to take my Pool Party and just kind of sponge, not too hard. And I'm just going to do that in a few spots. And it kind of helps it look like there's like a layer of clouds. I'll do one a little bit to the side. And then I'm going to use my same gray granite again. Open that back up. And for those of you who have, or get the paper pumpkin, which one was this? The April? No, it was March. The March paper pumpkin had the little rain boots. They were so cute. And they had this cloud, so I'm going to add a little bit more cloudy stuff to that, because sometimes it tends to be foggy in France, right? So maybe I'll even add a little bit of some gray layered clouds too. Just a light texture of gray. Okay, so I've added a little bit of clouds over my Eiffel Tower. And I was gonna do some flowers maybe too. This is where it's the beauty of when you have multiple stamp sets and you can mix and match, and it's so much fun. So I'm going to use my Meadow stamp set, and just because I want to kind of make it a romantic look, I'm not going to do a full-on garden or anything, but I want to do... Oh, I was going to add little raindrops too. The raindrops are from the paper pumpkin as well. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. You guys still there? Are you following along? Isn't it fun making this little rainy... Because it's still romantic when it's rainy. All right. So a few raindrops in the blue again. And then I'll take my cloud off and put my little flowers on. And I'm going to use just that subtle pink. So use my petal pink. It's a really light, very light pink. And I'm just going to stamp some clusters of those flowers all the way around the base of the Eiffel Tower. This is what's fun about this My Meadow set. You could do so many things with these little clusters. It could be a cluster of trees, a cluster of flowers. All right. Isn't that fun? And it doesn't have to look exact, or people don't even have to really know what that is. It's just pretty. Okay, now that I have the base of everything, and it looks like a little bit of a cloudy but pretty day. Now I'm going to take my Stamparatus and I'm going to line it up where I want it to go. Again, I want to make sure I know my base is lined up straight. So I'm going to put it along the 2-inch line there and make sure. And I'm going to put my magnet over here because I'm trying to think of where I want the lovers to go. I probably should have put my Eiffel Tower up a little bit more, but that's okay. I'm going to put the little lovers down in the corner here. Okay, so you see how I just, oh, no, you don't see. Let me move that over more. Okay. Sorry, trying to get my trifold. Guys, I'm totally saving up to get a little bit better of a camera holder. So this will go more smoothly for me. Okay, so I put the stamp where I wanted it. Now I'm going to ink it up in black because I do want it to look just like a silhouette. Okay. So I'm going to ink up my little lovers, and this is the beautiful thing about the Stamparatus, because I'm going to ink it up. I don't even have to, it doesn't have to look perfect because I'm going to ink it up again because I want this image to be very dark. So I'm going to probably ink it up at least 3 times. So make sure my card is straight. Stamp that down, press all over it. I'm going to ink it up again. You see how it's kind of still, you can see some of the Eiffel Tower and stuff under it. So I'm going to ink it up again till it's good and covered again. Stamp that down. His boot still looks like it's... I might even do this 4 times. But again, do you see the beauty of the Stamparatus? I can keep just doing it because it's lined up. The magnet hasn't moved. If it did, I would just move it back to its straight position. Ink it up one more time. Down on the boot, because that seemed to be... Oh yeah, see how it's getting darker? I'm going to do it one more time, just because it's fun. Isn't it fun, guys? I do like my Stamparatus, and I like that I've been finding more ways to use it. Now, I got a little bit of black on my plate, but it's okay, because it's not going to touch my paper, because I'm just pressing down on the stamp. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Alright, so that was 4 times that I was able to re-ink it. I'll wash that plate off and my stamp. So 4 times I was able to ink that up and stamp it over the image. Isn't that so pretty? Over it. Now, to add a little bit more va-va-voom fun, I'm also going to use our umbrella. So the, what is this? Under My Umbrella stamp set. This is also going to still be in the annual catalog. Yay. Let's see. So I'm going to stamp this right over the designer paper, so it has a little bit of outline of the umbrella. And then we have an umbrella punch, which, where did my umbrella punch go? Why does that always happen? I'm always so organized. And I have things right where I want them to be. Can anyone see my umbrella punch? Where'd it go? Guys, really? Well, goodness. I literally just had my punch here. I was checking to see I had all my doodads. Nope. It was behind me. Thank you, Deb. You like it? So much fun. Okay, so now out of that same designer paper, the Parisian Blossoms, I'm going to line it up right around the umbrella. And a little bit more over to the side. There we go. Punch that out. And the umbrella punch punches out the big open one, a closed one, and the handle, which is kind of fun. I showed that stamp set quite a while ago. But now I can stamp that, and it's going to go off a little bit to the side, but that's okay. And we'll just put a little, we'll put one more. I've got a mini one here. 2 dimensionals on there. And we'll put that over that, like, I'll tilt it a little bit, so isn't that so cute? Alright, and then I also had a strip of designer paper that I was going to use. Where did that go? For this card. How did I lose that? And this is why I used the pool party, because there's pool party in. But now that I use that, I don't know. Although the script is going up and down. I don't know if I like that or not. What do you guys think? The script side that matches the umbrella? Or that side with the flowers? I don't know. I actually might do both. Why not? I had another strip, so we'll just do that. We'll do this on the side because I don't think it's as stark of a contrast. This is where you get to see my mind at work with changing up a card. And I'm going to make this a little bit thinner. Which I have learned that, oh yeah, I have this cute little travel trimmer that I got when Stampin' Up! Was doing Celebration. And that's a fun little trimmer that you can use for little pieces. There, I like that being a little bit thinner. See, I kind of like that. You guys like that? Both of them together? Because that is the opposite side. So of course they look good together. So put that down on there. I know you're covering up some of, you know, what I've stamped, but that's okay. It was just the flowers in the corner there. Isn't that pretty? And then I could either cut out the Amour for my love, or I'm not sure what I'm going to stamp down yet. But that's just a different, and then I could add rhinestones too. That's kind of using the same thought. Oh wait, I didn't stamp. Guys, it's not complete yet. I still wanted to use the little cute background. So I'm still going to sneak it in. I'm stamping it black, but then I stamped off. Let's see, where do I want that to go? I'll do it up there. So I'm inking it up in black, but I'm stamping it off to the side so it's not too deep. See, doesn't that even add just a little bit more? So fun. I love those little background pieces. They're just awesome. I love the little postage looking thing. So again, more reasons why I don't think I can let go of this stamp set. Love the little Eiffel Tower, and it's so cute. So this is that was a card showing you the fun of, if you have multiple stamp sets, how easily you can kind of mix and match and make some fun little scenes. Okay, so once again, if you're just coming on, this is the Parisian Beauty stamp set that has this gorgeous Eiffel Tower in it, and all the pretty little script, stamp, the dies that match, and they are all retiring, which is kind of sad. I didn't have enough time to play with this, but like I said, I'm probably not going to let go of it. I'll play with it a little more. Not ready to let go of it quite yet. And the paper that is retiring, oh my goodness, even if you don't want the stamp set, the paper is just gorgeous. I love the foil on it. So here again is a reminder of things that you can make with the Cherry Blossoms and the Forever Blossom stamp set. Stamp right on the pad, stamp on watercolor paper, and then I showed you this card that you can use also with your Stamparatus. and make two different looking cards, but very pretty. The cherry blossoms hanging upside down there. Okay, so thank you guys for joining me. Again, those of you who came. Here's the numbers again. If you're like, yes, I love it. I do love that Stampin' Up! Now puts together a whole suite because it all coordinates. So that suite and get included the embossing folder. It includes the rhinestones that will, even if you use 3 per card, it will go for like 46 cards. It includes both bundles. So the stamp set, and the dies. So I'm telling you that these bundles and suites are really, really good. So you get 10% off on both of the bundles, the Forever Blossoms and the Parisian Beauty, that both match with the dies. So you get both of those bundles with this whole suite. You get the designer paper, which if you hadn't already fallen in love with it, I love all the patterns. The designer paper is just gorgeous. Because this side, I love it. And the other side's got foil, the Eiffel Towers. This side has pretty foil on it. And then there's that pretty pattern. I love this background too. I didn't even use all of it. And this, like, little travel suitcases. And I just used this in the last card I made with our little lovers, the foil script. And then on the other side is the big flowers, the blossoms in the pool party. And again, I think the colors that match with this are Lovely Lipstick, Petal Pink, Pool Party. And as you could see, I used a lot of my cards with some grays because there's silver in it. Gray really looks good with it too. So those are the patterns of the designer paper, which are awesome. So that whole package of designer paper comes with it too, as well as the ribbon that I showed you, that I used, which is somewhere in my pile now, in my mess. But this ribbon, so you get 10 yards of this pretty petal pink ribbon that's got the metallic edge on it. It really is gorgeous. And as you see, I used it on a lot of my cards. It really is pretty with it. Okay, and I did show you how awesome the embossing folder is. It's so gorgeous. So you can get it all with that one number for $133.50. Or if you just want the designer paper, it's on sale right now. It was originally $14.50. It's now on sale for only $11.60. So if you just want the designer paper, that's $151.192, but you get the designer paper in with your whole suite. If you want it that way too, you can get it both ways. Right now, my May hostess code for right now is QW3TEJMD. You don't have to use the hostess code, but if you do, my hostess Rhonda would appreciate it. She gets more free stuff. And you just go to my website, thedrewdaily.stampinup.net. You click on Shop Now. Sorry, I'm getting low battery. Hopefully it's not too bad for you. But you can go to my site anytime. You don't even have to remember or use a hostess code. You can just get it shipped directly to you, and I'll still get the credit. So it's awesome. The online store is great. Check out the clearance rack too. There's beautiful things on great sales. And I just showed you one thing that's on sale. There's multiple things that are still on sale. So check those things out. And I hope that I helped clarify some of the things, like when it says this bundle is retiring. The bundle is retiring, but the stamp set and the dies will both be in the new catalog. They just won't be bundled together for 10% off. Okay, so that's where hopefully I've helped clarify some of those confusing things in the retiring list. But the Parisian Beauty, those dies and the stamp set are retiring and will be gone come June 3rd. So this is the last month to get some of those beautiful things that are going. But trust me, there are beautiful things coming. So I felt like there's one more thing I wanted to say, but I can't remember. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope I've inspired you to get, even if you don't have this, to go out and use your stuff, create, send some hugs in the mail to people, because we all need it more now than ever. And thank you to all of you who have sent me hugs in the mail recently. I love you all, and I really appreciate it. It does really feel like a hug. So have a wonderful Wednesday, rest of your Wednesday, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.